showed buildings 2, 3 floors, but this is actually more than 9 floor building. And we have two issues here. We have the energy efficiency and PV station, and also we have grey water recycling at the same building as a model for the local building. Each one of these stations, we should have this table, summarized table to the decision maker, how much we invest, how much we consume energy, how much we reduce of energy consumption and also of CO2, and some projects like 15th of May, we right now producing 40% of our energy consumption. Another project in Romania, 45 kilowatt. So we are trying to cover most of the new cities with the PV station, and since we started in April 2015 the installation till now, we produce from all our stations more than 350 megawatt hour, and at the same time we reduce more than 200 tons of CO2. Also in street lighting, before we started working on the central station, we had an investigation and scientific analysis about the different systems of PV in streets or street lighting. Usually, most of Egypt installing a standalone system, which has some problem related to the maintenance, the battery life, and also how to secure the battery. So we decided, and I think we were the first governmental organization to work on central station for street lighting. So we had installed this central station for Tiba Ina, Sahrawi in south of Egypt for 4 kilometers. And at the same time, we are working now on night street lighting with done 7 kilometers and capacity 130 kilowatts of grid, and another road in Sadat City 128 of grid, and it should be finished by end of June. Last project that was presented before presenting solar water heater. This is an initiative that we started with cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and with the Board of Trustees of Sheikh Zayed, that we decided to have on the ground something that gives the concepts of energy efficiency, renewable energy, grey water, using waste in construction. So we with the discussion with the local authority in Sheikh Zayed and Luka, we decided to take this land, which is 2,500 meters square, next to one of the schools, governmental schools there. And you see that in February 2015, that the people or the inhabitants used to throw their garbage there. And in February 2016, and actually in 4th of February, this is the picture that we established what we call the green corner. The main idea of the green corner to disseminate and make an awareness, and at the same time that the people and inhabitants can see all these concepts in one place, and not just to see, but to see and have information. So this was their perspective before starting, and this was the reality. And from my point of view, the reality is, for me, is more nicer than the perspective. We use the waste of construction out of digging in Zayed, and also we use wood for the roofing system. Also the furniture. All the furniture came out of recycled materials, the tires for cars, the palm reeds for the chairs, and also for the computers. And it was good that the two ministers, the Minister of Housing and Minister of Environment, attended the opening of this, despite its new and small project, but give a lot of messages in this direction. Back to our main topic, which is solar water heaters in Um, in the beginning, we tried to analyze what barriers we have in this sector. So we found that we have at the time the energy tariff, but right now the energy tariff in each way to be solved, and we have the relative high initial cost, especially for most of the people in Egypt. I'm talking about middle class and social housing projects, and we have also investment access barriers related to how to have an access to the bank, the low capacity investment of the household, other barriers related to the uh, domination of conventional solar heaters commercial network, and also domination of the electrical heaters in the market, and weakness of solar water heater supply side at that time in Egypt. So our idea that not to work on just to install solar water heaters, because actually for the people who are working in the field, they know that in the 80s, the Minister of Housing at that time, Engineer Kaprawi, had a ministerial decree that all the new buildings in the new cities have to install or have to install solar water heaters. And it was actually a bad experiences, and I will not talk about that right now, but most of the people who are working in the field know this experience. So our idea is to have an comprehensive implementation mechanism, study the installers, the accreditation schemes, who will be responsible about the training of the installers, the training of the suppliers, the certification of the suppliers, and certification of the product itself. And we try to connect with the different actors at the time in the in the market and all the stakeholders. So we contacted the area, we contacted EOS, we contacted HPRC and the private sector as well. And we tried, and also we had different meetings with the bank, Ahli Bank, to see how we can facilitate this, but it was not that successful at that time, and till now we have a problem in the financial mechanism, especially for the individual owners. And at the time we proposed that we should focus on the quality control, especially for the supply eligibility requirement, installer eligibility requirement, and also the specs document that was produced on the 8th from HPRC, the supporting measures focusing on capacity building. I think a lot of activities, and one of them that was done by Brigadier Chief related to TOT, communication and awareness, the economics measures, especially the payback period. Even we had some meetings with the investors in Sheikh Zayed, for example, on 6th of October, and they were a bit, let's say, conservative to start installing solar water heaters, comparing to the price of electrical heaters at that time and still till now. And also on the regulatory measures, focusing on the obligation of using solar water heater in new buildings. Is this the right time to have another ministerial decree, or still to work again with this mechanism and to be sure that the market is ready for that and the energy building code? I will go directly to our some of our real case studies, because we decided we work with as much as we can on all of these issues, but we decided to have real examples on the ground, as we did in the other sectors that the unit is dealing with. So we worked on different climatic zones. We have in New Cuba, which is near Luxor. We have a pilot model in Suhail, we have in Asur, and we have in Badr, and we have in Sadat. Cuba and Sadat already installed and everything is finished and they are working right now. The other cities in the finalization of the installation systems. Just to have some ideas, the systems in New Cuba, that was, as we always do, that the first project should have technical support and some financial support from other entities. So we started with New Cuba, 100 social housing units in 4 buildings, because each building in the social housing has about 24 social housing units. And we started with technical support from Shams Kamal, from the cabinet of minister, and 50% finance and 50% from local. After that, we financed everything. Same with also technical support from Naria, and it's, I should say that we already have a cooperation protocol between Nuka and Naria to support us, because we are very keen to have a scientific approach, and we are doing our best to work with all the stakeholders to be on the right track. And even we invited the private sector and maybe SIDA to discuss with them the term of reference or the tender documents of the solar water heater that we are distributing right now and working on them. And we asked them to give us their feedback as people who are working on the market. In each of these cities, we have different systems. So we have here half central solar water heaters and half central water heaters with different types, just to check and to have a pilot model to be evaluated. So after 1 year from now, we can see the road where we can go and which kind of these systems should be implemented or installed. And also we work with an open loop, closed loop, different storage systems, and so these are the systems in actually in the SIBA that was installed. And this is one of the pictures that I love myself, that you can see the social housing with the solar water heaters and some good landscape, we can say, comparing to the social housing that was constructed in the 80s and 90s and 10 years ago. So we feel that there is a difference right now, especially that we installed LED and solar water heaters to be taken in consideration. The SIBA, inside that, we installed the solar water heaters for 240 social housing units in 10 buildings in Sadat City, also as a pilot project. And we already finished the installation, everything. And here you can also see the landscape and the social housing with the installation and everything, just to give you an idea about the location itself. And we finished the installation and the paperwork and everything, but I asked a technical support from Birgit and from Martin, just to double check, to come and to double check what we did. If you have any comments, feedback from your side, so we are keen to go deeper to have more quality for the solar water heater. I will finish here, just this picture to give you an idea about the website, and happy with any questions from your side. Thank you for, I'm sorry to take.
No, okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hint, for that wonderful presentation. Honestly, I found it very informative, and actually, since I live in Abur, I might be talking to you about some of these initiatives and asking what can be done. Anyway, up next we have a distinguished guest from the Austrian Embassy, Mr. Martin Wohler, who will be discussing the economics of solar energy and solar water heaters and how they can fit within our overall economic plan. So let's go. Thank you.
Thank you for having me in this distinguished group of experts. I have to start by telling you that I'm not. I'm not an expert on the topic, obviously working for the Austrian Embassy Commercial Section. I'm not an expert on Egypt, however, I'm trying to change that. I have been here for 8 months, learning every day some new things, and I hope I will not say anything remarkably wrong today. If I will, please tell me immediately, but I might have the one or other suggestion if you allow, and if it's wrong, please tell me straight away. I'm very happy that I'm basically preaching to a converted crowd already. I mean, Michael Puttinger said that we are all renewable energy ambassadors. That's good. If there would be only oil and gas people here, I believe it would be more difficult to talk to this audience. In addition, Professor Rasha said that we are all here to work towards the goal of sustainable development. I can agree on that as well. So I believe we're all looking into the right direction, which I believe is important. A few brief words to Austria, the renewable energy sector, solar thermal sector, and what it could mean for an Egyptian case. Renewable energy, of course, as mentioned today, but especially true is if Egypt has 8 climate zones, that Dr. Hunt just said. I believe for each climate zone there is one renewable energy solution that could potentially fit. Maybe not one fits all, but there is one for each zone. So we have biomass, hydropower, solar energy, photovoltaics, what I forget, wind of course, and they all we are quite good, leading in many rankings, having a high percentage of usage of renewable energy, electricity produced of renewable energy. But then again, it's Austria. We are not having, like the last few days, 40-something degrees and sunshine all over the place. So we are using what was given to the Austrian country. So we are using water power, hydropower, we are using biomass, wood fuels, and I'm sure, I'm not mistaken, that Egypt should maybe not so much focus on wood fuels, but focus more on the sun and maybe on the wind. So, but you will see, this is just a few details that wood fuel, water power really dominate the situation in Austria. But then again, all the sectors are represented, some of them smaller, but still growing, and there is a big Austrian expertise in many of those sectors. Remarkably, the share of renewables in electricity, which is close to 70%, I believe we're doing quite well in that area. Why do we use renewable energy in the first place? We have the ambassadors, the converts who believe in it as a good thing because it's good for the environment. We can see that Austria saves 28 million tons of CO2 by using renewable energies if you include large-scale hydropower. If you exclude it, it's still a remarkable number. If you're one of those who says, well, I don't really care about the environment, many of you will care about money. So in Austria, the sector generates a turnover of 6.7 billion euros, which is remarkable. And I'm sure that this is something that also Egypt could use. If you say, well, I don't care about the environment and I don't care about money, maybe you care about social politics more, and you say, well, people need jobs. Well, in Austria, this sector generates above 36,000 full-time equivalent jobs. So Austria is tiny, as we know. We have 8.4 million people. Let's say, for the purpose of easy mathematics, that Egypt has 86. Coming more to the focus of today's topic, solar power. Again, solar is more than just solar thermal. We have photovoltaics, we have solar cooling, solar electronics, boilers, etc. And the interesting part is Austria is represented in all of these sectors. And a very distinctive feature is that those companies that produce, that supply technical solutions, they export a lot. So we have 80+% of products, of technologies that go abroad, meaning it's sold out worldwide, which is a sign of quality, and B, it's good for Austria because it generates hard currency, which I've heard would be likely to have more in Egypt, so to raise the hard currency as well. Anyway, so we have a whole industry in Austria, some famous companies doing business all around the world. Probably one of the most famous one is Green One Tech, the world's largest producer of solar thermal collectors. 85% export rate, I believe 25 plus years experience, really pushing the whole development in Austria from the start. Another famous company we have is Solid, for instance. If you know the Beijing Olympics, one of the stadiums had Solid products. Another one is Tisum. Then again, we have Ertec Solar in a completely different field, which is also interesting. They use photovoltaics in laminated safety glass technology, which is very interesting for architects. Then we have the mentioned Fronius company, which is very strong in inverters, and they are present and active here in Egypt. And of course, Kyoto Photovoltaics is also quite famous around the world in the industry. So why do we have solar thermal energy? What could we use it for? I mean, basically, 50% of our energy demand in Austria arrives from the supply of heat, and you've got to cover this kind of demand for heat. And solar power is A, very environmental friendly, and B, also very competitive in terms of price in a free market situation. You can see here that the heat production costs from solar energy are significantly lower than the others. Then again, one thing is very important for Austria is performance. We don't have that much sun, so we better use it well. So the Austrian solar thermal collector, given the same amount of area, is 5 times as performance efficient as a PV plant. In Egypt, maybe that's not so important because your sun is here all the time and always very strong, except maybe, I don't know, 2 out of the 8 times. Anyway, so solar thermal power is very important and can play a very big part, especially considering that one day electricity prices might go up because of the end of subsidies, gas prices might go up because of the end of subsidies, and the solar thermal energy can cover and should cover all the demand for hot water. And at a later stage, it could also be used to substitute for gas and diesel-powered boilers in the industrial sector. We always mention our poster child, also part of my job to brag about Austria, brag about Austrian companies, which is good. Our poster child is Green One Tech. I mentioned it before. The founder of Green One Tech started, or was major person in starting the whole initiative of solar thermal power in Austria. Started very small, the 38-story garage to really big production site. And 25 years later, it's the world's largest thermal flat plate collector manufacturer. Huge production capacity, basically active anywhere the sun is shining. Very automated process, and then again, it's a high technology industry. Still, remember the 36,000 jobs, or 360 it could be in Egypt at the same level. Of course, typically Austrian quality, anything certified high quality, I mean, we don't have to mention that. Export rate 85+%, patents, and our most famous and most recent success of our poster child is world number 1, said it before though, for 10 years in the area of flat plate collector production. And it's an OEM manufacturer that was stated today already. So you don't know it, you don't see that it's Green One Tech. It could be my name or biggest name or whoever's name, depending on who orders it from Green One Tech. Coming to the success story, to the outstanding project they delivered. It's the world's largest project for the roof-mounted solar, plant. It's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in the Princess Noor bin Abdul Rahman University, and it's just a huge project. It's like Egypt, I know, is different, but for Austria, this would be considered a city, just the campus size. And all the heating requirements for water are covered by this system. And this is what it looks like in the end. It's equivalent, I believe, of 5 football fields. So it's a huge project and a very big success, and showing once again that Austria is really surprisingly ingenious in many ways. So finishing off with starting what Helmi Abulaish said, I very much appreciate this initiative. I hope this initiative will lead to a strong cooperation, to a cooperation together towards the same goals, because if everybody does his or her own thing, some of you might be successful, some won't. If you all pool, you all know how your resources and push the idea of solar thermal power in Egypt, I believe a lot can be achieved. And many ideas are out there. I've heard that even in the 80s, each hotel should have had a solar thermal power plant on the roof. I've heard it again now. So the ideas are here. The important part is the implementation, and I'm sure one Egyptian businessman last week told me, we Egyptians, we can do everything. So I hope that this will be a project that proves once again that everything can be done here and can be successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we move on to our final presentation. We have coming with us, as we said, we changed the schedule a little bit. We have engineer Shihab Ismail. So please take the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I know it's difficult to be the last one in the presentation because most of you are very tired. I hope to move quickly in my presentation. My presentation about the current situation of the solar thermal in Egypt. Solar thermal means that solar thermal for electricity generation and solar thermal for heating or water heating. First of all, in the vertical chart for the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Energy, New and Renewable Energy Authority is one of the affiliated to the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Energy as a focal point to disseminate or to develop all renewable energy applications and test all as well as testing and for the renewable energy equipment, solar water heaters, PVs, modules, as well as the home appliances testing facilities such as refrigerators, washing machines, electricity, air conditions. Here, just overview about the current situation of the total electricity in Egypt. Why I put this slide, because when we talk about the solar water heating, we must talk about the electricity generation, because the electricity generation is still subsidy, or the tariff for electricity is still subsidy, and it is considered one of the main barriers to disseminate solar water heaters in Egypt. The total installed capacity in Egypt is about 36 gigawatt. The renewable energy represent about 2.5%. It's very small. It's from wind, comes from wind and solar, and it represents about less than 1% from the total electricity generation. But we have a target to reach 20% from solar and wind by 2022. This is our target. This is here our target. We hear about the electricity generation from solar and wind to reach 20% by 2022. Our plan there has we have many scenarios to reach 20% as I said before by 2022. Another scenario to reach 30 to 40% by 2035. Another scenario 65% will become from renewable energy. But this is just scenario. It's not. But it's in conditions with the limitation or the availability of the natural gas and the petroleum product at the time in 2050. According to that, we have a potential in Egypt, we have a land, we have everything, but the limitation or the availability of the natural gas at that time and the coal and the other nuclear and other resources we can make mix. But if we have it in that time, natural gas and petroleum, we can use renewable energy to generate about 65% in 2050. New and Renewable Energy Authority, it was established in the 1986. Our main activities, wind energy, solar energy, testing and certification and capacity building. Egypt enjoys with high solar radiation, and I think all of you the direct radiation ranging between 2,000 and 3,200 kilowatt hour per meter per year. Also, the current situation we have now in the solar energy, we have one power plant, one solar thermal power plant, depending on concentrated solar power in a Primat with total capacity 140 megawatt, including only 20 megawatt for solar power. And it's a combination between combined cycle and solar thermal power plant. Also, we have about 30 megawatt from PV generated or installed capacity from PV, but in the not integrated or connected with the grid, but in a new city, in remote cities like Siwa, El Farafra, Marsa Alam, Halaib, Shalatin, because these cities depend on the diesel to generate electricity. So we already make a hybrid system between diesel and the PVs. This is central power plants. In the day, we generate electricity comes from PV's power plant, and in the night comes from diesel. So we make a fuel saving. We make a reduction in the CO2 in these cities. As well as very important thing, we make a sustainability for the electricity, because sometimes the diesel generator itself can be broken, or sometimes the provide with the natural gas, with the diesel, the solar itself come maybe comes late, and they make a problem, a big problem for the residential sector there, also as well as the factories in these cities and tourism, also tourism village in this. This is photo for summer 2014, the crisis of the electricity and the shutdown and the blackout. But in summer 2015, the problem was solved, and we hope to sustainable for that. What happened? The government decided to make a diversification for the energy mix by increasing the share for renewable energy, inserting also the coal power plants, as well as the nuclear. But the nuclear, it will take minimum 8 years, from 8 to 10 years. From coal, it will be started operation in 2017. But for the renewable energy, it's easy to install the power plant less than 1 year for the solar PV power plant. But The government itself and the new and the renewable energy itself can do that? No. So what is the solution? The solution is that encourage the private sector to come to this, to invest in the renewable energy power plants and and they develop the project and sell the electricity for the with special tariff. So the investor need to legislation and laws and something like that already done in 2014 according to the crisis of the blackout in the electricity. The government decided to diversify and depend on renewable energy by issuing the required laws and legislation. We have full schemes to develop renewable energy, governmental project, tender documents, and feed-in tariff scheme. Also, build all operate based on BOO scheme. Also, independent power producer, and we have a target to implement about 10 gigawatt from renewable. It will become until 2022 to reach our target 20% from the total electricity generation. But again, for our main topics here about the solar thermal energy, as you know, I think you know all it's divided to electricity generation, to water heating and cooling. As I mentioned before, we have one power plant with total capacity 140 megawatt in Foreign. Another power plant including 100 megawatt solar thermal power plants, pure solar thermal power plants. This is our target, but it will be implemented by the private sector, and the tender already issued in August 2015. But again, for solar water heating, and I think يعني, no official figure for how many of the amount of the total installed capacity from solar water heater in Egypt, but some studies recently indicated that it's about 800,000 square meters square that is installed solar water heater. Here in Egypt, unfortunately, no main entity, no main body responsible for the solar water heaters. That's required to many ministers, Ministry of Electricity, Ministry of Industry, private sector, but no entity or nobody we can rely on it to take or to give us the correct information or something like that for the solar water heater. By the way, the RECRE or Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Center in Egypt, Regional Center in Egypt, RECRE and the UNIT, just published this week a study or a report about the solar water heating in the 8 countries in Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Jordan, Palestine, United Arab Emirates. How the main barriers, what is the barriers, what is the opportunities to invest, how to develop solar water heaters. Unfortunately, Egypt here using for the solar and without this, why I want to install solar waters and this additional cost for me. One, new and renewable energy we have a laboratory for testing for solar and wind. We have a laboratory for testing the efficiency for the one. New and renewable energy we have a laboratory for testing for solar and wind. We have a laboratory for testing the efficiency for the solar water heater, and already we start to upgrade solar water heaters under upgrading now, and we hope to finalize this upgrading by August this year. I think, back again, the main barrier here, I think most of you know it very well, but it's the ranking here from 1 to 8, it may be different from 1 to other. It's my ranking. The main ranking for the low energy prices, the high investment cost for solar water heat, everybody knows it. But for me, we haven't even target for solar water heaters. I am talking before about the target for solar electricity generation comes from solar energy. But we didn't have any target strategy for the solar water heaters in Egypt. If we have it, that we can do or imagine something for tomorrow. So we need to set up a real strategy, a real plan, and I think this is my opinion. We need to do a strategy. The opportunities in 2019, the subsidy will be removed totally. And maybe in that time the people rethinking again using the solar water heaters, if we working as usual as we can do. Maybe why I use solar water heaters, why because the cost of them may be more 10 times more than the electrical heaters, and why I go to the bank and they get a loan from the bank. Why? As well as if I live in the house and if there is the availability area to install the solar water treatment in the roof itself. I have it or not. This is idea, but I think see the Solar Energy Development Association يعني with NAREA and with the Social Development Bank, Social Development Fund, engineer right here, we started with cooperation to thinking out of the box initiatives from NAREA and from SIDA to start sort of cooperation to become a loan with low interest from the Social Development Bank. We need acceleration. We need that acceleration for the development of the solar water treatment. As well as Dr. Hind mentioned, we signed a protocol with another protocol with the new urban communities authority, as well as with the Ministry of Tourism to NAREA as a technical support for this entities and the Ministry of Tourism. Finally, this is my last slide. I think, I really think again, what is the title of this slide? If every day there are many conferences organized, and there are many studies and documents already issued, but we need to talk about, to think about what after now, what after this conference? What is the recommendation? Is recommendation no sufficient? What? So we need to put a realistic target for solar. Realistic. We need to make not include more. We need to suggest something for tomorrow. Start. We identify the barriers. All the barriers we know the barriers. We know everything. We need to put that. We need to put a target. After putting realistic target, suggestions that policy required policy, required legislation. It will be maybe mandatory or obligations for the new cities to must using solar water heaters or what we need. We need to be thinking about that. And I think I think we can do that because I think the title of this conference paving the way together with solar energy issues. So many make things together and after now everyone from here back his home, back his work, and then I think this is realistic what will be done in Egypt, what already done in Egypt. So I think this is okay to do. together with the governmental entity, we need to do something. Thank you.
Right. Before we go to lunch, we want to have the final closing comment by Birgit. So,
We just want to add somewhere. I say thank you so much for your
yeah,
presentation.
come on.
It's exactly
Very open words.
yes, exactly. And that was our intention with this conference to start the process thinking about the federation. Bring together in a federation practical, like even practical here, and also the scientific institution and the financial institute, like Egyptian Association for Solar Thermal. Exactly. This was perfect. Thank you very much for your presentation. So maybe start a little bit. Let us come in this discussion. What is realistic in your opinion? Do you think is it possible to start with the build up moderation for solar thermal energy?
Federation.
A federation, so use your with all these different target groups. So with one side with companies who produce some stuff for solar thermal energy, and also the delivery, human to deliver suppliers with suppliers, and also with consumer, and also with defense. Do you think is that realistic to start such an association?
The problem not in forming the association.
Yes, but
We know all of us know very well. Yeah, I know the developer, the installers, or the academia, but we need to sit together first. Sit very first and organize a meeting and a meeting. After that, the creation is the federation. Yeah, yes, it's grown up and the need to form the federation comes. But what is the cause of this federation? What is the maintenance of this federation? This we need first. We must start friendly. We can do it friendly and set up friendly, and after that, after set up. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. This is my
my group. So would you add some words? Should we start a discussion on this? Would you like to add some
Maybe
ideas?
just a small thing. Probably what we need is exactly what you're saying, and I totally agree with it. However, we need to look like a one-stop shop for everything. The person can come in, find this place where I can find my suppliers, find my materials, find all the financials, the tentative one that I can build on or rent upon. It will be good. There are bigger battles to fight in the industry, so it's not now generating the power. The power I can get. It's not the primary thing that everyone goes where to do or think about. It's even whenever you are certified for other things, for environmental and so on, it's not the mainstream. People are looking into other stuff that they can sell more and they can bridge other barriers that we are looking forward to. Once we formulate this federation or one-stop shop that we have everything, I think a turnkey project is a good thing. We can take the turnkey project and we can apply it at this place, at this and that place, and it will be available. Because people don't want to invest energy time from their engineering manager or from their own people just to pull in some environmental. If it's not, if you don't care about the environment, you care about the cost. But again, I have bigger challenges to look forward. So if you made it a lot easier, you click the button, you know all the information. There is another consultancy or other company that can take it as a turnkey. It will be a lot progressive, a lot easier, and it will be like installing a simple appliance at your home. This is my humble opinion about it. So a good question.
Thank you very much. And thank you also you for your presentation, because you show us that behind solar thermal energy is a big business. And if somebody is not so interested on climate change and something else, but he may be more interested on the financial sector, so there is a business behind it. Yeah? So we can catch also these people. Yeah? By the way, what do you think?
if I come back to you, what is needed to start this process in the first step? Is it needed to get a commitment from every public institution, or what do you think? What is the first step to start something like we have here? Because we come to this conclusion since we working with these units, we can since about 7 years, 7 years ago. Um, but we found out absolutely that is necessary. Something like a solar thermal generation in Egypt, where everything is coming together and where people put together like practical. I didn't have to. But what is necessary? What needs or come together to build up something like that? What, in your opinion, what do you think? What is the next step to build up something like that?
First, as I said, first, safety. User and the organizer be meeting. Yes. After that, we can prepare 2 papers, 3 papers. Just to put this 3 papers. According to our current realistic, according to the current barriers now and the current situation now. As well as after that, if this we can convey the official or the ministers or the other thing.
So in this way, will be
Yes, not only that, we can make a workshop with and everything. By the way, we must put a schedule or time frame for our work. Not forget to open. During the 1 month, we must prepare 3 pages or 4 pages according to the including something. Maybe white paper, maybe something like that. After that, if it is pay and university, who convince the minister, example of the responsible the minister, governmental entities for that, we can do after that. But we need to gather all the partners here, developer and the financial institutions, the installer, the industrial sector, all of them, we need to gather. After that, we need to make a target, but realistic target, again, realistic target. And if the Minister of Electricity or the Minister of Environment or the Ministry of Industry sees that this target may be achievable, may be achieved, oh, you can submit it for the Cabinet or the Prime Minister to give obligation for the announced target. Egypt target to install X meters square from square meters by 2020 or 2022. And with an obligation for the Ministry of Housing to make an obligation for the new cities. Because in the existing cities, it's very, very difficult. So,
I would like to make a statement. My name is Axel Roland from Austria, and I work quite since over 25 years in this field, not really solar thermal, but in general renewable energy. And I try to think about how did it start in Austria.
Thank you very much.
Honestly, this is an easy way how it was in Austria, and I think there's no way to make this way in Egypt. I try to explain why. In Austria, there was a political will to promote something new, and there were incentives, and the initial, I would say, the initial start, some budget, some know-how, some cities came from the local policies. Then the association was established, and then all these different institutions came.
But in the beginning, in the beginning where the solar thermal business started in the 80s,
It was before, I think it was in the 70s.
no, no, before in the 80s, in the early 80s,
Yeah.
they don't have to convince behind the idea. They have to walk to the political side and they have to make awareness campaigns. They did a lot of
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what was the first step, but
there was some
on the local, on the provincial region, I think, I don't know, maybe they got pressure for many years, maybe. But it was slowly growing, it took a long time, but now it's back established. But I want to make a second point, and then I want to make a point why I think in Egypt it's very problematic, or maybe I have to go to the problem in Egypt.
Messier known here, MESIA in Dubai. It's a renewable energy federation for Messi, sorry. They are quite, I don't know the details honestly, but I go next week to Dubai and I will visit them. This is a success story. Of course, there are different more powerful companies with much more money and they don't care, they just do it. And they are not only on solar thermal, they are more in the photovoltaic world. But what is the obstacle in Egypt? In Egypt, I try now to build up my own company, and I was manager in a contracting company. Yeah, to cooperate with each other to find win-win situation is an absolutely no-go. They prefer to destroy the business before they share this someone. This is a really mentality problem. It's very difficult, meaning the win-win situation has to be very, very strong and to give everybody the incentive. Look, it's your interest that this happens, then you have later on the advantage. Don't be afraid that you lose something. Everybody, the banks are all going to speak with each other, the suppliers, the engineers, it's very difficult. Everybody tries not to lose know-how. And so, I mean, these arguments, why it makes sense to cooperate, it is very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much. From this point, sorry, I'm Leila, from the Apis University, one of the PhDs. Just I'm thinking of why don't we start from the small scale things? Why don't we raise the awareness of the citizens of Egypt that it's changing deeper with solar people? When I start from a small scale project, I think it will be spread more than from initiating a great project and to take many years. Um, Not from very much time, our discipline ministry initiated the idea of the LED lamps. Okay, and started over the media. Why don't we make the same thing with solar system? To be as on a over small scale for just controls for only one lamp. And maybe spreading more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that the federation itself is a tool. Before we reach the conclusion that you need to have federation, you should have an agreement at least between the different stakeholders, and this should not exclude the consumer, the end consumer. It should be part of this. About what do we want to have? What are the objectives on the short term and medium term and on long term? Without having a clear agreement on those objectives, you can have the federation started up. It would be like many other NGOs that would start and then achieve nothing at the end. The first step, as the lady just mentioned, is the awareness. Many people deal with the solar energy at large, and more particularly with the solar energy in the context of the previous bad experience that happened in the 80s, or in the context of an exorbitant cost that is associated with anything that has the solar prefix on it. That this is something with a high initial cost of ownership, that it is not clear on the return on investment of those projects. So there is a major awareness issue that should come as the first objective for such an entity, for such a thing, for such a huge. Working with the government, today the government is, I think, moving in the right direction. I would say with reluctant steps, but sometimes they stop. Today we are seeing a quasi-total stop in the renewable energy activity or the renewable energy support in the government. It is not a reverse, it is just a stop. At the time when we read news like Germany last Sunday reached a almost 100% energy generation from renewable sources, 45 gigawatts out of 46 requirements. At that time, we are looking here at the integration of new sub-gigawatt stations that are using conventional energy, fossil fuel, etc. So this is another objective. We need to make sure that there is an agreement. The government is one major stakeholder in this system, that they are really going to continue moving in the right direction with in relation to the renewable energies. The private sector, today we have, I don't know, maybe a couple of hundred companies that claim that they are working in solar systems. At least for the photovoltaics, I know that there's about 120 of them. I don't know how many in the solar thermal, and there's about maybe 50 in the solar PV plants. But then none of those is really, I'm exaggerating and saying none, but maybe a big portion of them are not really aware of what it really takes to have a proper system in place to gain the customer confidence, and accordingly, and we are getting into this vicious circle. We are not providing the proper service, the customer is losing confidence, losing interest, the government is not seeing anything developing in that direction, and accordingly, the whole thing is getting into a downturn spiral. So setting those objectives should come as a main mandate for such a federation, and then the federation will be working on the implementation plans for those objectives with the different time frames that Bruce might need it for. Short term in awareness, medium term in getting the government buy-in strongly. And by the way, to start saying that what is needed from the government is subsidy or incentive, etc., this is not correct. Actually, the main source of an incentive is the benefit that the end user will receive. If there is no clear benefit for that end user, no incentive will work, nothing will help in pushing the industry ahead. So let us agree on those objectives, let us see how can we put implementation plans for each one of them, and then the federation will be the tool to implement this.
Maybe
Thank you very
I'd
much.
like to add some words on this. Just as a conclusion, I think it's not about finding new objectives or finding new targets, because a lot of, we hear already today that a lot of institutions have already targets, already objectives. That one objective is to raise awareness for solar water heating. I think it's a clear view in everybody's mind. But there are several institutions here today, nuclear, which are doing a great job for residential sector and more in the demand side of solar water heating, in the consumer side. But as well as Enalea told us, they also make great jobs in the more side of energy production. And also it's very nice to have Sida here, which are already have a good network of distributors and installers. But sitting all together, I think that it's the missing link, and that the objective is, for example, quality standards, where also like consumers benefit at the end. I think it's clear in mind. But sitting together is the missing link there, and sticking together. Yeah? So therefore, I really would like when if Maria is also sharing this idea, maybe also we can organize or cooperate now and organize a follow-up meeting with potential institutions.
So now we can support you or create things if that would be possible to make effective use of it.
And I mean, we are just, we don't can run these federations. I'm not an Egyptian, but I think we can, together with our together experience and expertise, we can set the seed and then let it grow. So together we maybe can start it, and yeah, that's, I think we can discuss and keep together. But I think we can stay in contact therefore. And we're really looking forward if we can maybe arrange an autumn or something a follow-up meeting on this with the institutions.
We will organize for this.
Let us discuss it. I think it makes more sense. We can support you because we have a lot of contacts, and also we have a big network with each recipient. But I initial presentation. But you were from Eritrea, sorry, Eritrea, but that makes it complete other, that makes the thing completely different. No? What do you think? We also could do it, but what do you think? What is better?
Honestly,
Which umbrella do you?
honestly, according to our previous experience,
Yeah.
please start from here.
Start from here.
From here.
Oh, really?
Just to make furniture from here and the furniture from there. Make a sustainability for us. After that,
Yeah.
after we brainstorming, after organize everything, we can put it officially from the ministry or from Maria, from Muka, from something like that. But we need to few experts from represent from each entity, academia, private sector, governmental entities, just brainstorming. After that, we can transfer it for the ambition, for the ambition, because we have many, many experience and we had it goes very well. It goes very well. Everything as a governmental, as a government, maybe difficult and maybe some delay or something is problem, but we need to start from now, from tomorrow. So we can do it and initiate from, as I think, the conference title, paving the way. So paving the way to brainstorm how to implement, how to transfer from paper to plants or something like that.
I think that's the right point to say thank you all of you for your coming and for this presentation. Thank you very much. And now let us grow this small planet. And then we will, thank you very much.